technical issue, and then so like for the hour before, like the doing it, I'm like just like walking around the house eating food and stuff and not doing anything, and then suddenly for like 20 minutes I'm like scrambling around and like
Yeah,
throwing
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going live now.
Mm.
Okay, so anyway, this is Trevor John. And is that your real name?
It's my first name and my middle name.
Right.
That's my music. Yeah,
Is it your stage name though?
yeah, that's my stage name. Yeah,
Great. And basically, like, well, these podcasts are basically just kind of documenting people's experiences from 2020
right.
because I started to do that around 2021 because I was just noticing that nobody was like the sort of doing that on the internet, and it seemed like one of the most sort of important things to be doing. I mean, obviously that it is being done somewhere, but it's kind of like on these like corners of the internet where
Yeah,
it
yeah,
you think it would be doing more, where people are actually even the quote unquote normies talk about like what they went through, but no one
yeah.
seems to go talk about it. Like it's almost like they're so traumatized by it that they just go, "Oh no, it's over now anyway."
Well,
Uh,
they're trying to forget it. I think they're trying to pretend it never happened, and now we've gone completely back to normal.
right. So
Yeah,
how is how
no.
is how is your life at the moment?
Um, it's good. Yeah, it's good. I found this whole thing, to be honest, for me, this whole thing has been a kind of a gift. It's helped me, it's given us a lot of nice material for writing songs. And
Right.
yeah, and I mean, I I woke up like on the 1st of January 2020 thinking I was a socialist atheist, which is pretty funny now.
Sorry,
Um,
a socialist atheist.
yeah, yeah. I thought I was a socialist and an atheist,
Right.
and I'm a long way away from both of those things now. Yeah.
Okay. Also, so now you've changed your views.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, it's not like I didn't realize there was some shit going on. I mean, I used to read The Guardian. I'm sorry about that. But
So did so
and
did I, man. There's no shame in that.
oh, I mean, now they write to me every now and again and suggest I donate some money to them or something, and they always send a no reply email, but I've got the email of the editor, so I reply to the editor going, I wouldn't touch your fetid rag if it was the last thing on earth.
Did you really you sent that note to him, did you?
Yeah, yeah, and he replied saying, "Oh, I'm sorry you feel like that." Yeah,
Yeah,
but I
go
go
on.
on.
Yeah, I noticed that like in the bit where it says can you please like say contribute to us, it says something like help us to fight against the 1% elitists, and with your help we'll carry on getting on their nerves. And I'm like, what the fuck are you on about?
I
You
know. I now think the Guardian is worse than the Mail. At least the Sun is honest about its kind of bigotry, but the Guardian poses as some kind of moral arbiter, and
yes.
it's absolutely disgustingly hypocritical, and I just find it really repulsive now. I'm ashamed I ever looked at it, and I can't. I mean, none of us can. It's very hard to look at any newspapers now, except in a sense of research and looking at what lunacy is going on and what propaganda they're pushing out. But the Guardian for me is like I'd need gloves to touch that now.
No, I was really disappointed with the Guardian.
Yeah,
I'm glad you went off on that thread because it doesn't get talked about enough how
yeah,
disappointed I was that, because I think the Guardian newspaper was the reason that my family and friends didn't agree with me,
yeah,
because it was like, well, even if the Guardian might be wrong, and they'll probably admit that themselves, at times, the general context of what the Guardian says is what that you kind of go with their general context. So what they've done is they've managed to set this context about the world where going on house arrest for a year is it's
Yeah,
kind of normal. I mean, and that's like whenever you look at any articles about it, they've done it really subtly, haven't they? Where it's like
yeah,
they talk about the anti-V's and then
yeah,
the anti-lockdowners and in
yeah,
this
yeah.
kind of patronizing way where they're kind of like, yeah, there was this little march, but they're
Yeah, yeah.
anti-lockdowners.
Are
Yeah.
we being careful about what we say, by the way? Because
I,
I noticed you'd had a few taken down um,
yeah, basically, I think,
violating the terms.
yeah, I've made this is my third channel that I've made on YouTube. The first
Right.
two I got I think I got the first two I got like warnings on, one or two warnings, and then
Sorry.
yeah, this no this new channel I got a warning on like the third podcast that we did. I think it was because the late person I was talking to mentioned the V's,
Right.
and it's like a straight pull. So I'm a bit careful. I just use like C and V,
Okay.
and I think
That
you can
that gets
I think you can talk about most other stuff.
yeah, that gets you past it, does it? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, arm spears and Britney Spears and all that. We can hedge around that. Okay.
Britney,
Um,
what's that? Britney Spears?
Britney Spears, that's a rise above
Oh
uh,
right,
euphemism.
and what that
Oh,
means? That means the
the
V.
old, that's the one, yeah.
Right. Why is that
Yeah.
though?
Why is it Britney Spears?
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
because it's
spear.
yeah. Well, they would say going to a Britney Spears concert. That was their euphemism for going to the one-stop depopulation station.
Right. I get you.
Yeah, yeah. So it was funny you should say that about people documenting what happened because yeah, I think it's really important and to have people's personal um, recollections and experiences and document those. But I was in a band called Protective Fences. Well, it was more of a musical collective, and they'd been doing stuff like about all of the nonsense right up until um, 2019. Before it, and then one of them said to me, "Oh God, there's something going to be going down," and then disappeared to the jungle. And they've been running a platform called the Void. Um, I don't know if you've come across that, but it's basically a database of everything that's gone on. Um,
So you're in a band called Protective Fences, and they.
Protective Fences, yes, yes. And it was a kind of musical collective, and we were making songs about false flags and I mean all kinds of sort of conspiratorial stuff. They were interested in everything. They're looking at Egypt and I mean just every aspect of this. And one of them actually is a direct descendant of the guy that did the Bedford Levels experiment. Have you ever come across that? One of the first flat Earth experiments.
Ah, it rings a bell actually. Yeah.
Yeah, they sent a barge down a 6 mile long straight canal with a flag on the back. And if the curvature of the Earth was as we are told, then it should have been 12 foot beneath the horizon by the time it got to the end of the 6 mile. Yeah, a little trick, but you could still see the flag clearly.
Right.
So yeah, I mean that's
So I mean, there's loads of things that like sort of quote unquote prove that the Earth is flat. Like I saw the video on BitChute where there's like a thousand things that prove the Earth is flat. So
yeah.
are you a flat earther then?
I wouldn't say I'm a flat earther, but there's so many things that contradict the NASA version of the world. So I would say I'm more of a globe denier than a flat earther. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, my view of reality now is that there could be both. I mean, it's such a weird time we're now living in that and you know, whether time is linear or there's different realities going on at the same time, I don't know. But I've got to a place where I'm quite open-minded about experience and, um, you know, studying all kinds of things.
That's
So,
good.
yeah, we've
That's
got
the
to be
way to be.
open-minded and we've got to be prepared to be wrong. I think that's one of the most important things.
Yeah,
In
these days I never get too on my high horse about anything because I
no,
know that if that's just a recipe that I'm going to be proved wrong. So anytime someone
yeah,
says anything, I'm like, well, maybe the world is upside down.
yeah.
Or is it? Or maybe it is.
Yeah. Also, like I spent a long time desperately trying to convince. I mean, I'm in a family of people that got completely taken in by all the crap. You know,
Mm.
my whole family, more or less, apart from my son, he's the only one in my family that didn't get vaxxed, but everybody else did.
How old's your son?
He's now 28.
28. And
Yeah.
what did the mother feel about that? Was she on board with that?
Well, she didn't want to, but then her sister was dying in Italy, and her mum is old, and she's Italian, his mum. So she got one to travel, you know, against my kind of advice. But uh, yeah, but the rest of my family are all absolute cove tards. They're all kind of they're all in restaurants. I mean, sort of having a meal, getting up, putting on a mask, going to the toilet, coming back, taking it off. And that's why I wrote That's a Moron, actually. I don't know if you remember that song of mine. Where
That's some
That's the
more.
moron. It goes, when you're driving along with your face nappy on, that's a moron.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that was one of the ones I was singing on the marches, and like a lot of my stuff, I turned sort of stuff I was yelling for a megaphone into a song.
Yeah,
So
I've
that
noticed a few of your songs are like based on other songs. Like there's that one Chris Whitty.
yeah, Titwillow. I've done another one which I sent right at the beginning when everyone was clapping like seals and banging saucepans. I I sent a message on the WhatsApp going, "It's beginning to seem a lot like North Korea," and so I've now written that song. So it's beginning to seem a lot like North Korea everywhere I go. Yeah, so I've written that one now. So yeah, I've got a few based on other songs. Yeah, one based on the entrance of the gladiators, which is the clown theme called Clown World. Yeah, I've got a clown song based on that.
Yeah,
Um,
I was just watching your new song,
oh yeah,
Not My King, is it?
yeah.
It's very catchy, actually. I mean,
Oh, thank you.
maybe I've heard that before, but I was like, as soon as it started playing, I was like, I sort of I knew it.
Yeah. But that's
Um,
original. That's not based on anyone else's. So yeah, that's coming out. Yeah, we've just shot the video down at the Hope Festival this a few weeks back,
oh
and
right, yeah, because I recognize some people from that video.
oh yeah, there's well, Mad Mix is in it, wearing his pink "Strong but Pretty" t-shirt. Jake from Victorious and Emmy and Caroline from Victorious are in it, and Orlando, who's Indigo Vale and is playing with Raw Milk Conspiracy.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love all those guys.
yeah, brilliant.
I don't know them all that well, but like I've met them all, and yeah, it's great how recently the sort of North and South freedom movement people have like
Yeah,
mixed at the different festivals, and it's all on a
yeah.
big scene sort of coming together of people.
No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Where are you based? You've
I
got a
live in
northern lilt.
I live in Leeds, but I lived
Ah,
in London for about 9 years, and I often think about maybe going back there. You know, I love London,
yeah.
but I just don't know these days where is the best place to even be. Is it?
Well, I mean, you know, wherever you've got a tribe, I think.
Yeah, I don't really know where my tribe particularly is. I guess they're all over,
Yeah,
sort of all just spotted
yeah.
all over the country. But is London still as fun as it was
You know what?
before?
I never thought I wouldn't enjoy London, but I mean maybe I'm just getting old. But now I'm out here in Kent looking after my old mum. I've got a 91-year-old mum, so I'm just kind of looking after her, and I've got a great tribe of people down here. And there's a 5 acre plot of land which we keep bees on. Two of the girls in the stand in the park have got this plot of land. So I'm down here keeping bees, and we've got a great community. We sing, we've got bonfires, you know. So and then we've got polytunnels on this plot of land, and great raised
Polytunnel.
beds. So yeah, we're growing veg.
Oh, good for
Um,
you.
yeah, so we've got a really nice little thing going. Although I was quite busy with them at one point, but because I've got quite busy with the music and everything, I haven't put so much time into it. But yeah, we're just shoring our bees up for the winter, so hopefully they'll survive this year.
So where did you say you were sort of living now?
Well, I'm just outside Sevenoaks in Kent.
Oh, right, Seven Oaks.
Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, I don't tend to go into London much. I was in I was up at the Night Owl recently with the Raw Milk Conspiracy and the
Right.
Defiance Records lot and all those. I played at one of their gigs. That was fun.
Is that
But yeah,
Laura Brown's night?
no, I don't think she's involved anymore
Oh,
with
right.
that. But it's those people. Yeah, it's Ben Gallagher, um, who is the son of Mickey Gallagher, the Blockheads keyboard player.
Okay, I don't think I've met him before, but I've heard of
Oh
the
no,
Blockheads.
he runs Defiance Records, which is managing um, the Raw Milk Conspiracy.
Right, yeah, Raw Milk,
Yeah,
that's Orlando's
yeah,
band. He got two
yeah.
bands, right? One's called Indigo Veil.
Well, that's his more solo project.
Right,
Yeah, yeah,
got it. And so have you got like an album coming out of
yeah,
all your songs?
yeah. Martin Noakes saw it. It was really weird. I don't know if you've kind of had a lot of synchronicities. Uh, does that happen to you? Because
It has, but not that often. But when they happen, they are weird. So I definitely
yeah,
believe in synchronicity, but it doesn't.
yeah,
I don't get them every day.
I've had really weird ones. So like I can't remember why I did, but for some reason I felt pulled to get in touch with the Carl Schulten stand in the park. That's something Mick had mentioned, Mad Mick, and because they were doing some meeting in a park, and I wondered if they'd like some music. So it turned out that it was in the middle of a field in Carl Schulten. They had no electricity, so to play, I had to get myself a battery and then an inverter, and I was thinking, this is mad, you know, I'm spending like 300 quid to so I can play in the middle of a field to a bunch of people, and we're probably going to get shooed off by the rozzers. And then so I did that, and I got set up so I could use my little amp off this battery, and it worked really well. And from that, Martin Noakes saw the video of me playing Not My King, who's a producer.
Mhm.
He's done some of Mad Mix stuff and really
All
liked the
right.
song, and got in touch with me and said, "Oh, I really like that song. We should record it." So that's how I got that song recorded. So in fact, that little investment to play in a field for nothing worked out really well. But
Ah,
yeah,
right.
you know, so he's going to record the rest of my album. We've done a couple of songs, that one and Just Following Orders, which is another one of my songs I used to yell through a megaphone.
Mhm.
Um,
So how
but
many have you got? Have you got 10 now, or you got enough
yeah,
for an album?
yeah, I've got about probably 3/4 of an hour to an hour's worth of material now. So yeah,
That's an album, yeah. Is
yeah,
it 10 songs?
I'm probably gonna do, I think, 12.
12, yeah, that's a
Yeah,
nice round number.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
I've
What
got
about you?
I've got 10.
Yeah.
I I've booked 2 weeks off work to finish it because I really procrastinated on it. I did that with my last album, and
Yeah.
I'm just really bored of my own procrastination because it's like so predictable. Because I'm like it's almost 2 years since I put out a Facebook post saying it's almost done, and I'm like I'm so ashamed. I'm like because I haven't even been working on it. I've just been like every single day. It's like yeah, I should do it, and then you put
Yeah.
it off to the next day because guess you want it to be perfect, and then at some point you realize that actually that doesn't exist like perfection, and
No.
that's just it's like really important for me to just like put it out and get it sort of 95% as good as it should be, and then yeah, that perfection thing just kills me.
Well, it kills everything.
Ruin.
It
Yeah,
kills and it's killing music as well. The idea that you can make it perfect. I like the old 70s, 60s, 70s recorded where they, now with everything being digital, you can go so far in and make everything just perfect, and it kills the soul of it half the time.
yeah,
It's better when it isn't like that because it just feels mechanical, and that's the exact thing we're kind of fighting against, isn't it?
yeah. It's not so much like that I actually spend too long on the mixing because I actually
Yeah,
have paid someone to mix a few of the songs. So it's almost like when anything is important to me, like it must be I just have this resistance, and then it's like just
yeah,
starting it. Just even it probably would only take probably the whole album would take less than 30 hours or 40, maybe 50 hours or something.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's just like because it just means a lot.
yeah,
It, said I'd end up doing things like this with this podcast or something, which I really like to do and that. But
yeah,
this gets done because I make a date every Monday. I've got to do it. That's the only reason this gets done. Whereas
yeah,
with things like albums,
yeah.
they don't get done. Although I do know somebody that puts an album out on his birthday every year, which is I
So
thought
that's
that was absolute genius because then it
yeah,
just it kind of forces you to do it.
yeah. I mean, I one of the things I study is Gurdjieff. I don't know if you've come across him, but um, everything you do is based on an enneagram, and it's kind of based on the like an octave, and and to complete the octave is to complete a task, and there's certain points which you have to overcome um, difficulties within any task, and that's in within that Gurdjieffian enneagram. It's called an interval. So so you got do re between me and fa is what's called an interval. It's usually some kind of resistance that comes up to stop you to get in the way of you doing it. And it's really interesting because every task you do seems to comply with that. And then there's another one round the other side, but that's more to do with being affirmative. But the first one you have to deal with is often about negativity and dealing with negativity. And then the second interval you have to jump over is more to do with affirming the positivity. And then, like, in an octave, when you get to the seventh note of an octave,
Hmm.
it's usually pulling you then back towards the do, and then it's much easier to complete once you get towards the end. I don't know if that makes any sense to you.
How do you spell go, Jeff?
Gurdjieff, he's like, if you've heard of Steiner,
Gurdjieff. Is it Gerjif? Yeah, yeah,
Gurdjieff.
right.
He was a kind of mystic, kind of teacher, a bit like Steiner. If you've come across Rudolf Steiner,
I've heard of his name, Rudolf Steiner, but
yeah,
I haven't
yeah,
read any of his books.
it's the idea that basically Gurdjieff's kind of premise is that we've got two consciousnesses,
Hmm.
and we're all living in the wrong one, and we're all living in one where all our centers are kind of unconnected, and you've got three centers. One is your intellect, one is your emotion, and one is your physicality, and they're
Hmm.
like three brains. And in order to connect to your higher self, you have to have all three of those working in unison and harmony.
Mm-hmm.
And by having those in harmony, you connect. And they call it your subconscious, but that's a psyop because it's not sub anything. That's your higher consciousness where all that
Okay.
stuff happens. Yeah, so it's kind of around that in a nutshell.
Okay.
But
I'll definitely look into that then. Is that
yeah, it's
Gurdjieff?
very interesting. Yeah, there's Ospensky wrote a book called In Search of the Miraculous about his studies with Gurdjieff. So that's a good starting point if
Okay.
you ever
So
want to
so
get into that.
what was that book you just said there?
In Search of the Miraculous.
In search of the
Miraculous.
miracle. You know, I've I've um I've been listening to like a lot of like because like I, w I wouldn't say it's just I wouldn't call it just procrastination, but it's like
Yeah.
self-actualization of like my sort of dreams and goals. It is something that fascinates me because it's like I want to I want to like uh well I mean I guess we all have this sort of yearning to reach our sort of highest potential. And
Yeah.
then we notice as the years go by, it's like, why have I not done that? And I was listening to a lot of
Yeah.
content about how, you know, we kind of in a spiritual war at the moment,
Yeah.
and it's like, so where this guy I was listening to called Owen Cook, he talks about like when you sort of waste time on the internet or when you sort of drink or smoke weed and you're wasting your life, that's kind of like Satanism. Or it's at least it's a good metaphor for it.
Yeah.
And it's not like I totally agree with it, but I was like, there's something to that. That it's
Yeah.
like that I didn't notice before. I used to think that when I was just wasting time in my room drinking and smoking weed, it's like, well, I'm just chilling. But
Yeah.
I
But
see.
then that sort of leads you to a lot of dark thoughts and dark energy. See, I think we're and self-criticism as well, which can be really dark. You know, even kind of self-flagellation about not doing what you should be doing. And but I think there's a lot of kind of misunderstandings, I think, of Satanism and Luciferianism because they're conflated as the same thing, whereas they're actually really different.
Are they?
So yeah. So Satanism is more about the material, everything becoming literal and material. Because if you look at higher kind of spiritual teachings, they might say that we're both genders, you know, but what they're doing is making it material. So like people literally have an operation and change gender, for example. So everything is being about the material and being solid, whereas Luciferianism is the opposite of that. So that's about everything is light, everything is off the planet, nothing material is good. You have to be away just meditating, and everything material is wrong. Whereas really there should be a balance. You know, we're supposed to be the thing in the middle that reconciles that. That's our role, I think, between the light and the material.
Okay.
Um,
This is
yeah,
all new stuff to me.
yeah.
But is Luciferianism and Satanism, would you class them as evil sort of
It's
concepts?
well, it's like anything else. If the balance goes too far one way or the other, it becomes, you know, wrong and bad. Yeah, and there's definitely evil in the world. Um, yeah,
So all that stuff that was happening with the V's and the
yeah,
lockdowns,
yeah.
would you what would you class that as? Would you put that under the Satanism or the
Yeah,
Luciferianism? Or is it?
Satanism because it's kind of making more and more rules, more and more restrictions on what you can do. Um, um, you know, Luciferianism would be more like just a rejection of anything material. So you have to be in your head, connecting to other realms, um, and whereas the Satanism is more to do with like just deciding to be massively in your ego, making loads of money, not giving a shit about anything but your ego. Yeah, that would be a satanic kind of standpoint.
Okay. And
Yeah.
do we all have elements of of both of those in our lives, or should we try and get rid of them?
No, I would say it's to do with balance. Yeah, I think when you said we're in a spiritual battle, I think the largest or the most important battleground of that is within ourselves. For me, we all have to take responsibility in ourselves. It's like I always say when with people in this situation, we're not in traffic, we are traffic, and we all have an effect. Um, so do you know John Butler? Have you come across him?
No,
He's
that's another one I'll write
all
down
right.
here. John
So
Butler.
John Butler, what's her name? The woman Rachel Elnor that was in
Oh,
the
I love
Dragon's
Rachel
Den.
Elnoy.
Yeah, so Rachel Elnor goes and speaks to him about 6 o'clock most mornings, and he's this old guy with a beard, and he's just really spiritual. And he said something which really resonated with me, and I've always remembered it. He said, at any one time, you can just decide whether what you're doing is walking towards God or away from God. That's all you need.
Right. And although I like the sound of that, what
Yeah.
does it mean when I go to go and eat a hobnob out of the fridge? Is that walking towards God or away from God?
Well, it depends on your attitude towards it. If it's giving you joy, and
Yeah.
it's not harming anyone,
Well, it's got sugar on the back end that might
yeah,
mess with my focus.
yeah. I don't like. I can't eat anything like that now. Cake, biscuits. I can't. I've gone right off drinking. I sound really fucking boring.
No, this is a non-alcoholic lager, so I've
Is
actually
it?
gone almost 100 days with no alcohol or no weed, and
Oh wow.
I'm really happy about it
Yeah,
because it's not just the giving up the alcohol and the weed. It was just it's like a holistic thing. I've also
yeah,
like sort of I'm do more exercise and all this other stuff,
yeah.
and just trying to get better. But I don't resonate with the alcohol like I used to earlier in the year. I just
Right.
it's been funny because I thought I'd never give up the booze because I loved coming into the house and having a few beers and some weed, but I've just thought
Yeah.
I've kind of sort of ebbed away from it. But you don't drink either?
No, it's something weird happened to me, kind of right in the beginning of the nonsense, and I just
2020.
didn't feel like drinking anymore, and I don't like the feeling I get from it now. And I think spirits are called spirits for a reason,
Mm,
because
yes.
you know, I mean, my mum has had issues with alcohol, and yeah, the only time she behaves and tells me to fuck off is when she was pissed as a fart.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like she's not herself.
I mean, I can look back over like my whole life and see that it's amazing that like it's I don't regret any of the times I was drinking, getting pissed, but it's I had fun, but
Yeah,
it does add an element of chaos into everyone's life, and it's amazing how that is considered so okay.
yeah,
When you actually stand back and look at what we're doing, it's like we go out on like a Friday or Saturday night and like drink this thing that just adds just
yeah.
sort of real sort of anything could happen over the next few hours sort of thing.
Well, it's also funny why they kept the off licenses open and shut the gyms.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. There's got to be a reason for that.
So do you think they wanted people to I guess it also sort of dumbs you down. Is that what you
Yeah.
think it was about?
Well, it
Dumbing you
makes you
down?
lethargic. You're not at your best when you've got a steaming hangover.
You're not, no. Um I got to admit during 2020
Yeah,
I was drinking
yeah,
quite a lot. I mean,
yeah.
I used to I was working night shifts and I'd come home at 7 in the morning and like be like drinking like the gin and juice and at
Wow.
7, looking at like the latest news about COVID and
Yeah,
yeah, it didn't I can see it didn't help the situation at all, but I was so pissed off around that time.
yeah,
And it was like my only sort of way of dealing with it. But
Yeah.
Oh, so you probably did well to avoid it around that time.
Do you know, I've never really, drinks never really agreed with me anyway. But I mean, I have got steaming drunk. I've done all kinds of terrible things in my past, but yeah, but drinks never really agreed with me. So it wasn't that hard, you know. It's like smoking. I just kind of thought, oh, I've had enough of this. I'm not going to do it anymore.
What
And
about smoking weed?
yeah, I used to, yeah, smoke weed. I've done all sorts of mind bending things in the past.
Right. Have you done like
But
psychedelics and stuff?
yeah, I've done a few psychedelics.
And do
Yeah.
you recommend them for someone like me?
Um, I think now my view of it now is I wouldn't touch anything. You know, ayahuasca or mushrooms, or I wouldn't touch anything. I think you can get to those states without doing that. It's almost like an artificial way of doing it. I think you
You
can
can
get
get to
to the.
the ayahuasca state sober.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I know people that see kind of um, through to other realms. And you know, if we're having a, there's people in my stand in the park that if when there was 15 people in the room, they'd see 30, 60 people because everyone had people stand behind them. You
Oh
know,
God.
I know people that see all kinds of things now, and it's weird because you can look at them and sense that they've got this other energy, or there's a kind of thin veil between realms. And yeah, I mean, my mind has been just blown so many times in the last 4 years that yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I was going out with someone in 2020 who
Mhm.
wouldn't didn't want to get the old spear, but that was it. Wouldn't listen to anything else, and it was just hell. Um, and so yeah, there was so many areas in my life that sorted out that nonsense. So it got me away from that relationship. It got me being much more creative again. I met loads of brilliant people.
The
You know,
psychedelics sorted it out.
no, not the psychedelics. No, no. I know.
What sorted it out? The 2020. What happened?
2020, yeah,
Right. Okay.
nonsense in
Okay.
2020.
Right. Okay.
And now yeah, I realize you can get to all those states yourself just by living a certain way, meditating. You know,
Oh
you
right.
can, yeah, you can, and just by like you can get there slowly, I think, and just by being intuitive and sensitive to things. I mean, I read people's energy now in a way I never used to be able to,
Mm.
or at least I trust my reading of it. I think it was always there, but yeah, I can feel people's energy. I always did that actually. You used to find it really difficult to go to parties or go to a pub because I would just feel bombarded with everybody's energy. But now I just thought I felt uncomfortable, but now I understand why I felt like that.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you mean. I avoided socializing almost entirely in 2020 because
All right.
I hate I was like, well, I just hated the apart from the freedom protests, obviously, which I
Yeah.
loved, but like I didn't do
They
my
were
usual.
fantastic.
Oh, amazing, amazing. But
Yeah.
I didn't because I saw people when I saw people wearing masks and stuff. I was just instinctively didn't want to go out and meet people. I just thought uh it would be I don't know. I just thought I wouldn't like anyone, but maybe I was
Yeah.
actually just wrong about that because if I actually did go out, maybe if I would have talked to most people would have actually been um nice people. So maybe I was projecting a bit there. But
Well, most people are nice. Even the norm is like they aspire to being nice. There's very few like really horrible people in the world, I find. Um, but yeah, it's quite difficult though. Once you've realised that the depth of the deception that's gone on, it's very difficult to talk to normies, I find. Um, if
so
that's who you mean socializing with.
well, the thing is, like, I now it's been a few years. I'm just got the attitude of I'm just going to sort of go back to sort of trying to meet everybody and sort of not making it a thing where are you because for a couple of years it was like, well, if you're a normie, I don't want to even talk to you at this
Yeah.
point. You're
Yeah.
like you're the out group, you know what I mean? Whereas now it's like, well, I see I still get on with my friends really
Yeah.
well who don't agree with me, and then I get on with my parents who don't agree with me, and I'm
Yeah.
like occasionally, when I meet people at my gigs and stuff, I'm like they might not agree with me, but we connect on just other sort of levels. Like we don't have
Yeah.
to agree on politics, so I'm gonna go back to just trying to meet people because it is a bit like to just because we disagreed about that one thing, I don't need to
Yeah.
put up a barrier and be like, I can't connect with you on anything now because of that.
Yeah. But
That's a bit.
the problem there is that one thing is kind of everything.
It is, but it's like, how am I going to live my life? Sort of
Yeah.
if I'm just because it's not like there's that many freedom events in Leeds, or
Right.
am I going to just like organize my entire life so it's like, what am I going
Yeah.
to do on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday if I want to go out and there's no freedom events
So
going?
are you doing gigs at kind of non-freedom events?
Oh, I do covers gigs
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
on Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays, and
Yeah.
I um I don't know what people's beliefs are, but I've
Yeah.
noticed that like I send like because as a covers artist, sometimes I send like my original songs along with my kind of my covers show reel because I basically my original song has a better video, so in order to get a gig, I want them to see my best video.
Yeah.
And they don't none of them so far has been offended by the video that I've shown them. Some people have actually
Okay.
liked it. I don't know if it's because they haven't actually listened to the lyrics or whether they don't care or whether, but it seems like people are okay with like hearing
Yeah.
like those types of lyrics and they don't get sort of triggered in the same way that they might, I might have gotten blocked or something in 2020.
Do you
Like,
think it's shifted?
yeah, there is a shift where
Yeah.
people are like, um, yeah, because I remember 2020, 2021, quite a few people unfriended me or just
Yeah.
really didn't like those types of opinions. Where I think now it's like, yeah, definitely more open to it. I don't know if they've
Yeah.
changed their mind, but it's almost just like the Overton window has just gone from like there to like there. It's gone a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
bit bigger.
I'd never heard that expression until 2020.
All right. I don't think I probably did either.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's the song that you send that
It's called Disobey
oh, okay.
because it was the only proper video that I've ever made. So I'm
Yeah.
like, my covers show reel is called Tommy Gallagher, and it's not a very good video. It's just made in this booth, so I'm like, I want to send them something which is better.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I've made another one actually recently, which is coming out in a few weeks called White Pill, which is a lot more of a happy, summery, inclusive of everybody type song. So
Yeah.
hopefully that will get even more people in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
But
once
I
they're
think
sucked
that's
in,
yeah. Sorry. Go on.
no, I'm just saying once they're pulled in by that, then they
Yeah.
might be more likely to then watch the other videos
Yeah.
and listen
Yeah.
to the lyrics. So
But I think if you've managed to like keep a good relationship with all your mates
yeah,
that don't really go along with the kind of idea that everything's controlled and puppetry, if you've managed to carry on being good mates, that's quite an achievement, I think.
yeah.
Because
Well, I guess we were always good friends anyway, and we weren't gonna
yeah,
let politics get in the way of that. I mean, I
yeah,
remember having like quite fierce arguments with my dad at
yeah,
the time, but looking back, I c- I was partly responsible for that because it was like I was like sort of having a go at him for being a sheep, and then he was
yeah,
responding like
yeah, yeah,
I'm not a sheep sort of thing. Where so
yeah,
I could have probably prevented that
yeah,
if I would have been a bit more like, oh well, if you want to do this, it's fine, but I'd rather just
yeah,
I'm not going to comply. I could have taken
yeah,
that, but I was very
yeah.
like this is bollocks.
Yes,
So,
no, I know, but
bullshit.
I've come to the conclusion that see, I did a lot of that,
Mm,
and because we were so angry, about what had happened, and that it was such a painful rebirthing into this world where everything was a massive hoax and a lie, and once you'd seen it, you couldn't unsee it, and then you couldn't understand why other people couldn't see it. That I did a lot of that, but I think that anger itself is quite a dark energy, and even righteous anger is probably the worst one because you feel justified in behaving in a way that is quite not it's quite dark towards people because you think you're justified in doing it, whereas and I was like that with my whole family, but it's a bit more difficult because I'm trying to protect my mum from certain medical interventions. And when your whole family, including my brain surgeon cousin, is advising them to get everyone going, it's been quite a fight. So I've had to stand my ground on that, but it's been difficult. But my when I've got angry and kind of tried to forcefully show people evidence, and it's done nothing but harm, in my view.
mm,
It's I've and there's people I really care about who I was doing that with, and it's caused nothing but harm. And I've come to the conclusion we're not even supposed to wake anyone up. What we're supposed to do is speak our truth, and then if people have a magnetic center that draws themselves to us, then that's good, because that's their journey, and we have to just meet people wherever their journey is, and you can't force someone to go on a journey that they're not ready to do.
mm.
um you know
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. But it's like I didn't know. I guess the worst bit was around 2021 when
yeah,
the Britney
yeah,
Spears rollout started, and
yeah,
I was like, I felt like I needed to like I thought potentially this was going to be like a mass death situation, even though it hasn't
yeah,
turned out like that. I thought that this was potentially what was happening, so I
yeah,
was really just when my see when my mum and dad and my I was more like forceful because I was when my sort of close friends, I knew that I couldn't really I could message them and that would be it. That would be the most sort of responsibility that I could do. But I just fought with my mum and dad because we're so close. I could get through to them if I just shouted enough
yeah,
sort of thing. And I was like, do
yeah,
not
yeah.
take it. Do not take that fucking thing. Do not fucking take that fucking thing. Whatever you do not take it. And then they were like, we took it. And I
Yeah.
was like, what are you doing?
Oh, it's just like, my album's called The Face Palm Years.
Right.
That's
Good
the
title.
working title. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I think it sounds like your songs are kind of in that genre a bit more kind of poetic and going sort of being a bit more subtle than mine. Mine are like just
Right.
following orders. Yeah. So it's a
Yeah.
bit more difficult to
They kind of make the lyrics of your songs kind of make people laugh
yeah,
and
that's the way I do it.
make a
Yeah.
joke out of the
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. I've actually been doing comedy gigs.
Oh,
Um,
really?
and it works really well like that. Yeah. But
Is
yeah,
that in London or?
well, I've got one coming up I did one down at Hope, their comedy night. Um, and it worked really well, actually. And when people come ready to laugh, it was great. I really enjoyed that. And I've got one up in, the Barnyard Comedy Club. I think it's in Nuneaton, doing that on November the 3rd.
Oh, right.
Yeah, near to Birmingham.
How was the
Um,
Hope Festival, by the way?
it was so nice. It was really good. Yeah, I mean, it rained quite a lot.
Mm.
You didn't make it down to that.
Well, I think I asked to play, but that they were full. It gets full
Oh,
up
okay.
quite quickly,
Yeah, yeah.
and then obviously because I do gigs on Friday and Saturday,
Uh,
unless I'm going to play, I usually don't go
yeah,
to the
yeah.
freedom
Fair enough.
festivals. But I
Yeah.
honestly like I'd like to go to as many of those festivals as I can because I always have a good time, even if
See,
I'm
I
not
think
playing.
of that. No, I think of that place as like the beating heart of the freedom movement, really, because what they're doing is quite special down there.
Mm.
It's a big homeschooling hub. And I played the festival, and then I was back there 2 weeks later to play at their. They did an Uprise and Shine conference where there was people speaking, like Mark Devlin spoke, and a few others, and it was the energy there in a more kind of normal setting for Hope was so lovely. It's got such a beautiful energy, and
Mm.
they're doing all sorts of interesting stuff. Like there's Katie Jo and Sadie, who are the two directors. Like Sadie's guy Matt is like a Heath Robinson inventor, so he's invented this healing machine based on this big copper drum that sends pulses, and you sit in front of it and you can feel it going all through your body. So he thinks he can heal, knee problems. Well, I mean, all sorts of things with that. But yeah, if you look on their Instagram feed, I think it is.
Yeah, yeah,
You'll see
I
pictures
see
of it.
their feed on Instagram.
Yeah,
Did you go to any other festivals? Was it Stand in the Light? I saw you
Stand
there.
in the
Yeah,
Light.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I did that one. That was great. It was, yeah, it was. I mean, that's such a beautiful area, Cumbria. So you're driving up. I mean,
Mm,
it's nearer to you, isn't it? So, I mean, it took me
yeah.
7 bloody hours to get there.
It was still a big drive for me, so it must have been a
Oh
fucking
man.
epic drive for you. Yeah.
Oh no, it was ridiculous. But there's a point where you just suddenly start hitting the hills, and the whole energy changes. It was lovely, and it was good. I mean, that was their first one. Stand in the Park and the Light Paper. That was their first one, wasn't it? So,
Mm.
but it was good. Yeah, it was great. I had a bit of a graveyard shift on that one, kind of early Sunday morning, but there was old Daz on the desk, and we got people came into the marquee, and like we were all singing along. It was great.
Did you just do that one solo, or was it with a band?
No, that was solo. Yeah.
Mm.
Hope. I'm trying to get I've been looking for a stand-up double bass player. Um and At Hope I got I before the nonsense, I had a bluegrass trio. So I had this fiddle player who's extraordinary, and in fact she's awake. So we used to go to the marches together, and like God bless her, she was like kept me sane, because I was going mental at home and kind of with everything else going on. So yeah, and she came and played with me at Hope, which she's moved down to Hastings. So we had about a half an hour rehearsal. She'd never played any of those songs. We did about half an hour rehearsal, and then she played on all my stuff, which was extraordinary. Yeah, I couldn't do
Brilliant.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, she,
I had a brilliant time at Stand in the Light.
yeah,
It was amazing. Like, just and a good amount of people there,
yeah,
and really nice surroundings, and sitting by the campfire,
yeah.
at night. It was really therapeutic.
I didn't
Therapeutic.
see you there though, did I?
I think I saw you once. You were walking near this stage, and you were like,
Oh,
"Hey,
okay.
hey, Tom," and I was like,
Oh, yes.
"Yeah,
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
because the time before that I'd seen you was at the Rise Above one.
right." Oh, Rise Above was a brilliant one. The Equinox was it?
The first one they did.
Oh, right. So you didn't go to the Equinox. You went to
No,
the
I didn't go to the
Ra
second one.
Treat.
The Raw Treat I went to, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you did a kind of impromptu gig there. And I thought that was amazing, that gig.
Mm.
I was knackered. I'd gone to bed in my tent, and I could hear you loud and clear. And I thought that was epic, that gig. Really good.
Yeah. Someone just Baz posted a clip from that gig on my Facebook wall this week
Yeah,
actually. So yeah, I just came down. Even though I wasn't really on the bill, I just came down
yeah.
to sort of be part of it. But yeah, they put on really good events too.
Mm.
There's a lot of like in the community. There's a lot of people who are good at. We're not crazy
Yeah, yeah.
conspiracy theorists.
I
We're
said,
like we're all
did you watch Rise Above then? You're a fan of their epic monster podcast.
I think I got into them because they they did interviews with, I think it was either Inspector Veg or Lucas
Uh,
Lyon. Because they're
yeah,
quite rap based.
yeah.
So because they were talking about that, and I was like friends with those two, that
Okay,
that's how I kind of learned about them. But
yeah,
they go on YouTube and they managed to have a yeah, got a sort of decent following on YouTube without, but they use like you say, they use
yeah,
they use the code words, but
yeah.
that's hard to do.
So, do you remember Master Lee used to be on there?
Master Lee, I don't think I
Yeah,
know him.
he'd go. So they had this guy called Master Lee that was on, and every now and again they'd go to him, and he'd be talking about this stuff, sort of quite esoteric, difficult to sort of intangible stuff, but he'd say it in such a grounded way that I was really fascinated by that, and that's who I ended up studying Gurdjieff with.
Master Lee,
Yeah, Master Lee. Yeah,
right?
Lee. Yeah,
He was on that program, was he?
yeah. He was on Rise Above. He's good friends with them. With
Right.
yeah, and yeah, he used to be on most weeks when they did that. They'd just go to him every now and again, and he'd talk about this esoteric stuff, and it was always really fascinating. And he had such a kind of grounded energy that I found that quite interesting. So I ended up, and he's a real Gurdjieff acolyte.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely check
Yeah,
out Gurdjieff.
yeah.
Um, I yeah. So about 5 minutes left here. So I don't know where to
Oh, okay.
even take this. Is there anything else you want? By the way, you know that video that you sent me.
Oh, yeah.
Shall I pop like on the recorded version of this? Shall I pop it into this video, or do you want to keep it sacred?
Um, it's not actually, that isn't the final one anyway, and I haven't released it yet. So yeah, I was
Okay,
just sending that to you so you had a flavor, but that's going to be coming out um, in the next week or so, I think.
brilliant, mate.
So yeah, so I can send you the final one, and you could maybe stick it on afterwards if that's all right.
Um, well, I'm gonna put this podcast up tonight.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
Yeah.
so would you rather I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
put it in?
Don't do it just yet because that
Okay,
there's some edits that have gone on since then.
okay,
So yeah, but it's not released yet. So I'd like to get it released first.
cool.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So what you doing tonight, mate? You got any plans Monday nights?
Tonight I had a crash with one of the neighbours who thought it was a good idea to drive around a blind bend on the wrong side of the road. So I've got to write my statement for the insurance company.
It's a
Yeah,
great Monday night thing
yeah,
to do.
yeah, yeah. And I might make some cacao. That's my advice. I
Oh, cacao. I've heard of that, yeah.
yeah, I make some raw cacao and put some maca in it. Um, yeah, that's great stuff. Yeah, that's my about as intoxicated as I get.
So
Uh,
cacao, is that like a drink that kind of is kind of done with meditation, right?
yeah, it's like raw chocolate, just in its natural state. It's from either Peru or Ecuador, and it's considered very sacred. So yeah, um, and I've given it to my mum when she's gone to bed a couple of times, and the first time I gave it to her, she cleaned the fridge the next day, and the second time she changed her bed, and she normally is just sitting in her chair all day, so it seemed to have an effect on her. Yeah,
Okay, I might
so
get into
yeah,
the cacao then.
yeah. I
Yep.
can tell you where to get it if you
Okay.
yeah.
Where do I get it? eBay.
No, there's if you look Helen Heart Healer, I think her website is. She's someone I've done some kind of. She's a kind of spiritual life coach. I've done a bit of work with her. Helen Miller, Millar, and she sells cacao.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
um,
well, I'll
yeah,
look into that. Should we leave it there then? Because it's 9 o'clock
yeah.
now.
Oh, is it okay? Yeah, I wasn't sure how long we were going to go for.
Yeah, it's usually about an hour.
Yeah,
And I'll just yeah, I really enjoyed that chat, mate. We
Yeah,
covered
me
lots
too.
of different angles, and
Yeah, it was good to see you. I haven't seen you for a long time,
yeah, well,
properly.
hopefully I'll see you at some festival or some event in
Yeah,
London. I'm trying to
yeah,
just go to more and more things, so hopefully you can
yeah,
definitely hook up and have a jam or have a chat, whatever.
yeah. That would be great.
All
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
We'll leave it there then, mate.
Take care, man.